Good morning, students. So today we start with one of the main topics in trigonometry, inverse trigonometric functions. Last year you studied about trigonometric functions. With the help of that only we are going to define what is inverse trigonometric function. Suppose if we take a trigonometric function x is equal to sine y. Suppose if we take a trigonometric function x is equal to sine y, I have put an arrow mark below sine. That is, you have to transfer sine to the left hand side. If you transfer sine to left hand side, it can be written as sine raised to minus 1x. Listen carefully, it can be written as sine raised to minus 1x, and this y will be as it is. Or we can rewrite this as y is equal to sine raised to minus 1x. And this particular function is read as inverse function of sine x. It is read as inverse function of sine x or sine inverse of x. It is read as inverse function of sine x or sine inverse of x. This is a basic definition of inverse trigonometric function. Similarly, we can write all 6 inverse trigonometric functions considering the basic trigonometric functions. Y is equal to cos inverse of x, y is equal to tan inverse of x, y is equal to tan inverse of x, and y is equal to cosec inverse of x, y is equal to sec inverse of x, and y is equal to cot inverse of x. This is a basic definition of inverse trigonometric functions. So last year in trigonometric functions you have defined what is domain and what is range. Domain means in trigonometric functions the what angular value a function can take, and for that particular angular value what will be the minimum and maximum value the function has. That is domain and range in case of inverse trigonometric function. In trigonometric functions. Now in inverse trigonometric functions, domain and range will be reversed. Whatever domain is there, it becomes range here, and whatever range is there, that becomes domain. So based on your first year trigonometry, I have prepared a chart here. I am going to explain this chart. Now first function is sine inverse of x. The domain for sine inverse of x is closed interval minus 1 to plus 1. What do you mean by closed interval? So if you put a bracket like this, it is closed interval. And if you put a bracket like this is called open interval. So the rectangular type of bracket what you are going to write, that is a closed interval, and this is open interval. In closed interval, end points will be included, and in open interval, end points will not be included. For example, suppose I take number 1 to 10. If I write 1 to 10 like this, it is a closed interval. Means here the endpoints 1 and 10 are included. But same thing if I write here 1 to 10, this is open interval. So 1 to 10 will not be included, they will be excluded. Only the numbers from 2 to 9 will be included. This is what we mean by closed interval and open interval, which again you have learned in the first year. So the domain for sine inverse is minus 1 to plus 1, and range is minus 90 to plus 90. Again it is closed interval. Then we come to next inverse trigonometric function, cos inverse of x. The domain is again closed interval minus 1 to plus 1, and range is 0 to pi. Tan inverse of x, the domain is set of real numbers. What is here are set of real numbers. And what is the range? Open interval minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Then we come to cosec inverse of x. So r minus of minus 1 to plus 1, because cosec is reciprocal of sine. That is why it is r minus of minus 1 plus 1, and here we can see minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2 minus 0. Why it is minus 0 means sine 0 is 0. So if you take a reciprocal, it is not defined. That is why it is taken minus 0. Then we come to sec inverse of x. Again it is set of real numbers minus 1 and plus 1. And here again it is 0, pi, close interval, minus pi by 2. Why that minus pi by 2 is removed means, or why pi by 2 is not included? Because cos 90 is 0. Cos 0 is 1, cos 90 is 0. That is why we write 0 pi minus pi by 2. And the last function, cot inverse of x, domain is set of real numbers and range is 0 to pi. Here you have to remember all these values. The reason is, your first 1 mark question, it may come from this topic. It is the first 1 mark question, it is an optional question. Sometimes they ask you to write either domain or a range of any one of the function. So next we will come to some of the properties based on this, which are very helpful to solve the sums. So we will take a simple inverse trigonometric function. These properties I will give you as important note. So suppose if I take x is equal to sin y. By definition of inverse trigonometric function, we can transfer this, or we can write y is equal to sin inverse of x. Based on the definition what I have given, if I take x is equal to sin y, we can write y is equal to sin inverse of x. But here we can see what is value of x. X is sin y. So we can replace this x by sin y. So we can write again this as sin inverse of sin y. So sin inverse of sin y, left hand side is y. So I have taken x is equal to sin y. Then by definition of inverse trigonometric function, I have written y is equal to sin inverse of x. But here x is sin y. So this x is replaced by this sin y. So it becomes y is equal to sin inverse of sin y. So y is equal to sin inverse of sin y, or we can write sin inverse of sin y is equal to y. Sin inverse of sin y is equal to y. Similarly, we can write cos inverse of cos y is y, and tan inverse of tan y is y. Now, where these results are applicable, or how to make use of these results? These are applicable for the respective range values. They are applicable only for the respective range values. For example, sin inverse of sin 60. Sin inverse of sin 60. The 60 lies in the range of sin function minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. So sin inverse of sin 60 will be 60. And if I take sin inverse of sin of 120, here this is not equal to 120, because range for sin inverse function is minus 90 to plus 90. Now then, how to find this value? Using allied angle conversion, you have to convert this in the given range. So already in last video you have seen how to convert using allied angles. Then you can make use of this result. So I will tell you one more example. Suppose if I write cos inverse of cos 120. Cos inverse of cos 120 is 120, because the range of cos function is 0 to pi. So we can use this as note number 1. Sin inverse of sin y is y. Similarly, cos inverse of cos y is y, and tan inverse of tan y is y, and this is applicable only in the respective range. So if you remember the range, you can make use of this formula, and this help you to calculate the sums. This is your note number 1. Then one more important note I will give you, that is for domain. Suppose if I take y equals to sin inverse of x, y equals to sine inverse of x. So by definition we can write sine y equals to x, or x is equal to, we can write sine y. Y equal to sine inverse of x is the inverse trigonometric function which we have got from the sine y equals to x. So we can write x is equal to sine y. But here, what is this y? Y is sine inverse of x. So this y we can replace by this sine inverse of x. So this x becomes sine of sine inverse of x. See here, compared to note number 1, this is bit different. I have taken first inverse trigonometric function y equals to sine inverse of x, then I have converted back to trigonometric function sine y equals to x, or x equals to sine y, and replace this y by sine inverse of x. So x is equal to sine of sine inverse of x, or we can write sine of sine inverse of x is equal to x. Similarly, cos of cos inverse of x is x, tan of tan inverse of x is x, applicable for all inverse trigonometric functions. Compared to previous one, it is sine inverse of sine y. See the note number 1, it is sine inverse of sine y, and here it is sine of sine inverse of x. Then where this is applicable? This is applicable for the respective domain values. For example, if I write sine of sine inverse of -1, so this is -1, because the domain value for sine inverse is -1 to +1, and sine inverse sine of sine inverse of 2, this is not defined. Why it is not defined? Because domain is -1 to +1. If you take tan inverse of 1730, this will be equals to 1730, because domain for tan is set of real numbers. So one result we have to use for domain, one result you have to use for range, and these two results will be helpful in solving sums. Then one more note, just to make it clear what is inverse trigonometric function, I will write here. Just you have to remember that note. So if you remember that note, you will not be going wrong while writing inverse trigonometric function. Sine inverse of x, this is not equal to sin x raised to -1, which is like algebra. So you cannot write sin inverse of -x as sin x raised to -1. If you write, it is wrong. This is entirely different function, and it is inverse trigonometric function. Or sin inverse of x cannot also be written as 1 divided by sin x, because you may get confused sometimes. The algebraic result a raised to -r is 1 divided by a raised to r. These both will not hold. Then what is sin inverse of x? Sin inverse of x is only inverse trigonometric function. Then how to write? Either it will be y equals to sin inverse of x, or we can write x is equal to sin y. So inverse trigonometric function can also be converted back to trigonometric function. No other alterations are used here. Now we have some theorems. That is, whatever properties we are going to define next, we call them as theorems, and few theorems will be having three parts. So properties one by one I will give you. The first theorem is, I will write as theorem number 1. There will be 3 parts. First part is sin inverse of 1 upon x is equal to cosec inverse of x. So sin inverse of 1 upon x, theorem number 1. The first part A, sine inverse of 1 upon x is equal to cosec inverse of x, where x is greater than or equal to 1 or x is less than or equal to minus 1. Second part is cos inverse of 1 upon x is equal to sec inverse of x, where x is again greater than or equal to 1 and x is less than or equal to minus 1. And third one is tan inverse of 1 by x is equal to sec inverse of, tan inverse of 1 by x is equal to cot inverse of x, for x belongs to set of real numbers, or we can write x is greater than 0, or for x belonging to set of positive real numbers, or x greater than 0. So there are three parts in theorem number 1. Sine inverse of 1 upon x is cosec inverse of x. Then cos inverse of 1 upon x is sec inverse of x, and tan inverse of 1 upon x is cot inverse of x. And some conditions are given here. These conditions you have to remember. The reason is, so sometimes for 1 mark, so any one of the conditions of different theorems they may ask you in the exam. So for example, they may ask you sine inverse of 1 upon x is equal to cosec inverse of x is defined for what value of x, right? So these conditions along with the theorems you have to remember. Now I will prove the theorem number 1. So the first part, not theorem number 1, first part of theorem, that is part A. Then you have to prove the part B and part C on the same basis. There will be no difference in proving the second and third part. So I will take the part A. What is part A? Sine inverse of 1 upon x you have to prove equals to cosec inverse of x, for x greater than or equal to 1 or x less than or equal to minus 1. This you have to prove. Now just see carefully how I am going to prove this theorem. Here the proof is just based on the properties of the trigonometric functions which you have learnt in the first year. So I will prove this. I will take, this is called left hand side and this is called right hand side. I will take right hand side and I will prove left hand side. So what is RHS? RHS is cosec inverse of x. What is RHS here? Cosec inverse of x. I will write here, put, or we can use let, put cosec inverse of x is equal to say theta. We can put cosec inverse of x is equal to theta. Then what will be value of x? X will be cosec theta. I have taken cosec inverse of x is equal to theta. X will be cosec theta. Then what will be reciprocal of x? 1 by x. And 1 by x will be 1 divided by cosec theta. So you have taken cosec inverse of x is equal to theta. Then by definition of inverse trigonometric function, x will be cosec theta. 1 upon x will be 1 upon cosec theta. But what is 1 by cosec? 1 by cosec is sin theta. So I will write 1 upon cosec is sin theta. Then I will transfer the sign to left hand side. Using definition of inverse trigonometric function, we can write therefore sin inverse of 1 upon x is equal to theta. But what is theta? Theta is nothing but cosec inverse of x. Therefore sin inverse of 1 upon x is equal to cosec theta. This is how you have to prove the first part of the theorem.